Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Nikita Vizniak, and today I'm going to talk with you with the amazing Noelle, and we're going to show you how to give better presentations and improve your productivity. For those of you who don't know me, I've written about 15 books. I've also lectured at multiple universities and colleges, and our content is used by millions, literally millions of people around the world, and hopefully this will help you deliver better presentations. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. So to start with, we're going to begin going over objectives. Number one, we'll teach you how to engage your audience, how to determine how many slides you should have and what slide content you should have, images that you should use, and how to improve your performance, how to be better at presentations, and life in general. Okay, so the first thing that you always want to have is some type of grading criteria and objective measures that you can use to determine how good your presentations are and evaluate your overall performance. And believe it or not, your delivery is as important as the content. Say it with me with a smile. Your delivery is as important as the content. On our grading rubric here, what do we see? We can see that you want to start by stating your purpose, organizing your content, supporting your ideas, give references, there's a thought where you're getting your information from, give examples, and summarize your main points. At the end of any presentation, you want to summarize your main points and key content that you want people to actually learn and take home after you've given this presentation. The next thing we can see is the delivery. Do you engage your audience? Are you bringing them into your knowledge base and world? Are you having a solid stage presence? Do people actually want to pay attention to what you're saying? Dance, monkey, dance, all right? Audio-visual support is there, absolutely. And when you have the technology available to do it, you want to use it. But let's just say there's a computer problem. Your PowerPoint, your hard drive got wiped, whatever else it is, you should be able to present without a PowerPoint. You should be able to hold a room without a PowerPoint. All right. Next thing is you want to meet your time requirements, of course. And lastly, respond to questions. Every presentation should end with, are there any questions? This is where the most learning happens for the students, but as a presenter, it's also where you learn the most as well, because the way people formulate questions or bring up new information, it might inspire you to change the way that you know information or how you present it to the class. I have learned more from questions than anything else that I have done, and it's mostly students who've taught me the most that I have learned. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. So let's talk about how we learn as humans in general. My favorite expression right here, tell me, I will forget. Involve me, I may remember. Sorry, let me do that one again. Tell me, I will forget. Show me, I may remember. Involve me, and I will understand. The more involved you get in the process, the more you're going to understand what the concept is that you're trying to learn. This is known since the 1970s. This is how humans learn. This is what we're looking at for information retention after 2 weeks. If you just watch a lecture or read something, you're only going to retain about 5 or 10% of it. If you're audio-visual, you're up to around 20, maybe a little bit of demonstrations, around 30, but real active learning, participatory learning starts to begin when you get into group discussions, practicing real skills, and ultimately teaching others. When you teach others, you really get to see how much you know and don't know. And it's one of the best learning opportunities you can have. Anybody who takes a class from me, normally I try and have people give a little bit of a teaching opportunity for the class. All right. The next thing you have to realize, paper works. Paper results in better outcomes. If you are trying to learn information for long-term retention, writing it down actually works. And there's tons of research behind this. When you use a cell phone, what happens? You're clicking through, and that information is great for fast facts, but you don't retain that information very well at all. If you look at the paper, it actually sticks in your brain better. There's a great article by Scientific American, Why the Brain Prefers Paper. There's multiple reasons for it, but ultimately your brain recognizes it as a real part of the environment, and therefore it has a more substantial place in your memory when you write it down. Not to mention using paper improves creativity, ultimately scoring higher on tests. You name the outcome, it does it. What else do you get from paper? Recognize this. Distraction is the enemy of productivity. If you are distracted by extra windows popping up, checking your social media notifications, it decreases your productivity. And we'll come back to that a little bit later. Noelle's back in the house here to help us out. All right. These are from my first book right here. These are the mind maps that I made. They work. So just for a point of reference, This is going to be the glycolysis coming down right here, breakdown of glucose. Here we've got Krebs cycle, and then we can progress here into the electron transport chain. And this, although it looks like it's out of Aliens where the alien bursts out through the chest, this is actually the brain stem right here where you can see all of the cranial nerves, what they supply, what they run to, and what injuries and lesions to those nerves look like. What I would do before a test is summarize everything I could onto a single piece of paper and organize that data and then walk around with that piece of paper. When it came time for the test, and more importantly, when it came time for board exam reviews, what did I wind up doing? I just looked at these forms right here. Students liked them so much that we actually bound them into books. And now what do? We have multiple books just because people like the way that we lay out information. All right, the next thing you have to realize as a presenter and as a student is there's something called the zone of education, and you have to get in the zone. I learned this when I used to teach for Kaplan, where I taught pre-med, pre-dental, pre-pharmacy. I think there was another one in there as well, but whatever else it was. The zone of education is a triangle. As the presenter, you are at the front of the class, and if you're a student, your optimal learning environment, and again, the stats and research show this, your best scores on a test are here if you are in the front few rows or in the center of the triangle. If you get further out to the edges, your learning outcomes are lower and the chance of distraction is far easier. So you've got to get in the zone, not be distracted, and have fun. If you're not having fun, you really have to ask yourself, what are you doing there? All right? You need to have fun with your lecture and content. So get in the zone so you get the ultimate work from that. All right, got a sneezer in the background there. Go ahead and moving on. Smartphones. Let's go ahead and call these things what they actually are. These are amazing handheld computers, these smartphones. What do they allow you to do? Fast information communication, super good. What do? They decrease your productivity for a lot of tasks. If we look at when you're trying to learn information, the research clearly shows decreased cognitive ability, decreased task performance. If you have it face up, face down, it doesn't really matter beside you. You are distracted. If it blinks, if it makes a sound, if the hepatic display comes on and it vibrates a little bit, your brain actually decreases cognitive ability and is now distracted. Your stress hormones actually increase. There is such a thing as cell phone addiction. You need to know when to use it and when not to use it. And we're seeing younger generations becoming more and more addicted to it. Limit your screen time for optimal productivity and, in fact, even a better correlation for happiness in life. There's studies that show increased levels of depression with increased cell phone usage. Out of sight, out of mind. If I'm trying to get something done, my cell phone is gone. All right. What else do we know? I know your attention span. You're starting to fade a little bit right now because this is natural human tendency. What do we get? If I give a lecture, I've got you for about the first 15 minutes and then I lose about half of you and you have to do a state change. Whether that's playing a video, whether that's getting people up and moving. Otherwise, you're going to be down here in this area of approximately 50% retention. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and it's why you do a summary at the end of your presentations. People are going to pay attention at the end of your presentation. All right. So, to talking about a state change, let's make sure we've got this down. If you sit in your chair for longer than 3 hours consecutively per day, on average, your life expectancy will be shortened by 2 years. Let's make sure that you understand this statement. Sitting for more than 3 hours on average per day will decrease your life expectancy by 2 years. This is based on population-based studies of over 2 million people, over 5 studies, and this is a general correlation you see. And the real kicker is, it's not associated with exercise. So even if you go ahead and exercise but are still sitting for those 3 hours a day, it doesn't appear to be making a difference. Standing and moving are required. If you look at the World Health Organization's and cause of mortality, what we're seeing there, the fourth leading cause of mortality in the population currently is sedentary lifestyle, sedentary behavior. Sedentary lifestyle, because we're all living in urban environments, is becoming the new smoking and the new obesity. You're going to see increases in levels of this condition, which is so preventable as time progresses and we move forward and become more urbanized. All right. What else do we see here? Moving on. Well, we got to be aware. We got to do a change of state right now. So if you're watching this at home, if you're watching this on your phone, we're all going to move right now. We're going to put our hands above our heads and we're going to go into a deep squat and back up. deep squat, and back up. Use some of the biggest muscles in your body to increase blood flow. Even standing up, contract your gastrocnemius and soleus, the second heart of your body, allowing you to go ahead and increase cardiac blood flow return. So you're pumping that blood, moving around, moving these big muscles of your body. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Now you want to talk about PowerPoints in your slides. Too many people overload their slides. There's the 5-5-5 rule where less is more. So what do you need? No more than 5 words per line, no more than 5 lines per slide, and no more than 5 text-heavy slides in a row. So what you want to do is you want to look and compare these 2 slides right here. This is a slide with great information. It's important stuff that you want your audience to know, but nobody's going to read it, or if they do read it, they're going to be reading this and not paying attention to you because people read way faster than you actually talk. What's a better idea? Create small, simple slides with less text and extrapolate out, expand on points where you can give more information and engage your audience, bring people back into the content you want them to know. And if you even look at the way that my body language is, I step forward and I bring you into the content I need you to know. All right, next up, font size is key. Pet peeve, because I give a lot of instructors. I'm a mentor for a lot of instructors and I get a lot of feedback. This tie is bugging me today. All right. A lot of mentors that I have out there as well. And one of the best things that I've learned is font size of 24 point or greater is what you need. This is what 24 point font looks like on a PowerPoint. If your font is smaller than that, you got way too much text. The next thing to realize is use sans serif fonts. These fonts make a difference. And in fact, in our books, what we actually do is a sans serif, but I use Arial Narrow, so I get an extra 20%, 30% per line of content that I can create. So think about that one. But all right, these serif fonts, these little circles and dots and everything around the edges make it harder for your brain to actually bring in that information. The next thing is avoid using all caps. You don't need to yell at people all the time, okay? And in fact, even it's harder to read as well. It's like you're yelling at somebody when you don't need to be, but realistically, this is harder to read. The easiest thing to read on this entire slide is actually this font first, because it's the largest, it's the title. This font in red, which has been bolded, and then we can go and see the other stuff in black, but as soon as you get into these other fonts, you see a decrease in cognitive ability for your brain to take in that information. All right, next up, here is a fantastic slide with excellent information from an instructor, medical instructor at the University of British Columbia. It is amazing, but almost effectively useless as a PowerPoint to use because you can't even read that text. It's a serif font where it's difficult to see. And you can go ahead and see all these images are fantastic, beautiful images. And this is slide number 77 in a 120 slide pack. Crazy to try and learn from this. You are better off to read a textbook or make your own learning opportunities out of this with mind maps and whatever else you do. All right, this would be an example of a simpler slide that we can look at. So a couple of things right here for us to get. Number one, simple layout, simple use of color, key things that you have to get. In fact, this is actually from our botanical medicine book right here. Next thing we can see is referral patterns for viscera. Yes, absolutely, as any kind of medical provider and the general public, we should all be aware of this. These are referral patterns, but you can see a couple of things on this slide. Number one, color coordination with different organs. Number two, simple fonts to label. And number three, what we've done is we've actually gone in. This is talking about viscera. If I wanted to go ahead and talk about nerve roots, trigger points, injections, or that's infections, sorry, psychogenic pain referral patterns, all of this, then we actually gray that text out because the most important thing is visceral referral patterns. Just a little tip that you can use. All right, next up, reading the slides. Sorry, I have to pause for 1 minute. Noelle, come on in here if you have a question. That's great. I see that. She wanted me to let me know that her other sister is here. Just so you're aware, having kids in the background to watch this kind of stuff actually does help them learn as well. So my little geniuses, my 3 daughters, are all learning and engaging in information all the time. They help me do our cadaver dissections. They help us do all kinds of fun stuff. So great way for you to learn. The younger you can start, the better off you're going to be. All right, let's go back to the main presentation here, which is going to be reading from the slides. Do not read from the slides. It is boring. If you give a presentation, do not read from the slides. Students zone out, boring. It's the worst thing that you can do. Number one, you've turned your back on your audience. So just evolutionarily, we are taught to look into people's eyes and look at their facial expressions. So already you are showing the audience a disrespect right there. The next thing is they read it before you could even get the words out. So why even bother? I would suggest this is a fantastic documentary for everyone to watch. The Ivory Tower is an amazing documentary. It talks about education, how we learn, and in fact, the cost of your education. I would ask you all to ask more from your educational institutions, especially how heavily administratively they are getting. But I guess a lot of people have to have an income. All right, moving on. Video learning. What do we see? This is also from that documentary, that Sundance Film Festival winner, I think. Human interaction works best for your overall learning. You have to interact with people to remember information the best that you can. So a couple of key things right here is that they found with just digital learning that people had terrible pass rates on basic structures like, what are we looking at here? Elementary statistics, that'll be like a 100 level stats class, algebra, math, all of those poor outcomes. Digital is great for fast information that you want to cycle through quickly, but if you want long-term retention, you interact with someone, you share ideas back and forth, and then we move on to actually teaching other people. That's how you really learn something. All right. Next one is going to be images. Images on every slide. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So hopefully you put a picture on every slide. They add interest to the slides. Images should be large and in charge. This is just a picture showing a cervical joint mobilization. But whatever it is, nice, simple images, simple slides create better learning opportunities. Another example of images right here. Keep it simple. Support content and ideas. This is looking at your cell phone, how it actually changes the way that you engage your neck and cervical spine and the weight that you get with that. A simple image that shows increased torsional forces or stretching forces on the muscles and vertebrae of the spine. Next one, options for images. Create your own. In the last 20 years, I think we've drawn over 7,000 images, and this is a great way to avoid any copyright infringement issues. What else do we want to do? You can go to the Creative Commons and you can use images there. You can use required textbooks, and they may often allow you to use a certain number of books, but the biggest thing is, or images, pardon me, the biggest thing is reference your sources. Where did you get this image from? All right, this picture is actually an interesting one. This is my hand right here where we drew it. I drew it out, cut it off, and then I took an image from an older version of Grey's Anatomy, put it in there, and then modified, and we labeled it all out. Kind of a neat way to do it. A little bit time consuming, but if there's something specific you want to show, like this was to show the size of the median nerve for carpal tunnel syndrome right here, we kind of felt like we had to do our own drawing for it. So, all right, next thing is color makes a big difference. If you are presenting to a group of small people, if you're presenting to a small group, so you're looking at maybe below 50 people, something like this, generally dark letters on a light background is recommended. And again, the research supports this. If you're presenting to a large group like a convention or an AGM or something like that, you want to use dark backgrounds with light text. And the reason for that is, when you're looking at a screen, if you're looking at a giant screen, it's like a ball of sun and it kind of just blinds and overwhelms your brain for a little bit. Realistically, it's harder for you to take the information in. Versus a smaller screen, using these lighter backgrounds and dark text might be an easier way for you to bring the information in. And here's a perfect example of comparing light and dark where we're looking at, my entertainers are coming in here as well. There they are. Look at the use of color. Fantastic. All right. What can we see here is this is an X-ray, and it's showing contrast through the black and white and other colors that you can use. Do you know where this X-ray is? Patella. Nora knows. Well, she's only 9, so I'd expect her to be able to read an X-ray. Am I right? Am I right? Okay. Color specifics, different colors have different meanings, but in general, if you're using red, it improves overall performance. If you're using orange for critical thinking, yellow's okay in small doses, but if you use too much, it can be overwhelming. We can see green. Green is great for physical health, for relaxation. Blues are often, move your hand, Bells. Yeah, blues are often there for creativity, for calming and relaxing. All of the classrooms that I teach in where I have influence over the process, the rooms are painted blue. Calm and relaxing for people. The next thing you should realize, purple is attention and sexual attraction. Watch out. Next thing is going to be overall score on tests. If students write tests in color, their performance is increased by about 5 to 10%. Just toss that out there as an idea. All right, and here you can see color as it's used as part of marketing, and here you can see color as it's used as part of a dress. All right, and you can just see the different connotations and meanings and different brands that use different colors. Moving forward, we're going to change our state here a little bit, and we're going to go into some power poses. So if we look at power poses, these are statistically proven ways to improve your mood and performance. Whoa, you okay? All right, jump. All right, so what you're looking at here is, this is research from Harvard University. Cuddy, I believe was her name. There was some issues around 2012, but it's been reaffirmed in 2017 and later on as well. Power poses work. If you want to improve performance, what do you notice for the power poses? They are all open and big poses. You're up like this, you're creating space. There's your power pose right there, right? So you're looking at these big positions. And it's okay to cycle through. You can't always just walk around in a power pose. Okay, you look like an idiot. And you do cycle through different emotions and different moods, and that is a healthy thing for us to do. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to perform something, you don't want to have yourself small and presenting. Like imagine I'm giving this presentation right here. Sorry for 1 second. Girls, you gotta be quiet for this, okay? All right, we're running like 3 cameras recording this, so. Okay, so let's get back to this. So what do we get? This is your weak position right here. Unfortunately, what do most people do? They spend their day like this on their computer. This is a weak, small position. I mean, if you want to look at it even biomechanically, get small, take a breath. You can't even inhale enough oxygen. Pull your shoulders back, chest up, chin up. Now take a breath in. That's a real breath. You can really breathe something there, okay? You can really get some oxygen to get your brain working a little bit better. All right, next thing is going to be temperature. Absolutely, positively, temperature makes a difference. Optimal temperature for performance on test appears to be around 21 to 22 degrees Celsius. Here's the actual, around 88, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's some graphs that actually show exam performance. What am I saying? That was way too hot. Around 72 degrees Fahrenheit, pardon me. All right, that's cooking. Now, I'm going to bring my kids in here. Noelle, can you come in here for a second? There's a little trick that I do with these guys. If they're getting a little bit crazy, a little bit wild, increase the temperature in the car, and you'll see that everybody starts to get a little bit groggy and everybody falls asleep, and then you have some peace. Have you felt that before, Nora, when I've done that? Yes. Okay, they don't even realize it's happening. All of a sudden everybody's tired, and you look back and everybody's asleep. Oh, that's nice when you want to have a little bit of relaxation. Okay. Next thing is music makes a difference. So music, it doesn't really matter what the music is as long as it's not too distracting and it improves your mood. For me right now, I'm always been into classical, Beethoven Symphony number 9, number 5 from the Oslo Philharmonic of all things. I'm loving that one. Epic female vocals work. Anything you can do to elevate your mood will improve retention. And this is simple. If you're walking into a class, if you're walking in to give a lecture and you're like this, oh, what am I doing here? Okay, you know that that's going to be a terrible lecture. Versus if you walk in, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, what's going to happen? It's going to be a good lecture, especially when your PowerPoints are left on. Kids, off the computer.
I'm all the way over here.
Noelle, all right, back at it. What do people want? People want good content with solid delivery. They want you to describe important ideas, credible information with sources, and give them some interesting questions. But more importantly, they need enthusiasm for you to be friendly and approachable and to keep them entertained. Dance, monkey! All right. Next thing we can see is improving productivity. In fact, you know what, monkeys? Let's all get up and dance. If you're watching this right now, I want you to stand up and just do one of these things, okay? Just get goofy. Have some fun. Try not to bang into things. Just get goofy with Nora here. Okay, all right. There you go. Do that. I know it sounds goofy. Do it at home right now. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, so productivity and dual monitors. I cannot stand how many people I have seen working with just one screen. It is probably one of the least productive things that you can actually do. The research is clear, all right? Dual monitors for text-based performance improve productivity by 44%. Get 2 monitors. I think I have about 6, 7, 8 workstations that I actually use. And for those workstations, all of them are at least 2 monitors. Some of them are even 3 monitors, depending on what we're doing with those. If you're looking at spreadsheets where you're trying to analyze data on a spreadsheet, 29, basically just call it 30% improved performance. If you're not using 2 monitors, you are being dumb. And I have no other way to say that. I'm not going to be politically correct on that one. You are decreasing the quality of your performance and ability right there. All right. Productivity. What do people think? They think you got to work hard 24/7. I will tell you right now, nobody can do that. No one can work hard 24/7. What do we really want to do? We want to actually integrate productivity into our day for optimal performance. What do we do for this? Yes, you do have to work hard, but make sure you're in the right mindset, mood, and everything to do it. You have to exercise. You have to keep your body healthy and functional to improve your productivity. Eating right is fundamental. If you are not putting the right fuel in the machine, it's not going to give very good performance. Sleep. All of this gets wrecked with sleep. If you don't have good sleep habits, if you're on your cell phone right before bed, it's going to decrease the quality of your sleep. Next thing is time off is absolutely key. You need to take time off to recharge, whether that is taking a break after 40 minutes and going for a walk, or it's taking a week off and going on a vacation. When you come back, you'll be reinvigorated to the content that you want to deliver, okay? This is what you need to do. It's only about 20% hard work. The rest is spread out through everything else. Also, pick your kids up on a regular basis. Okay, get a little bit of exercise in while you're being productive. Am I right? Yeah. Am I right? Okay, next thing is going to be optimal performance. This is an amazing graph. If you are watching this right now, I would actually take and draw out this graph. So a couple of key things. A couple of key things for us to get. Number 1 is going to be, this is your physical performance right here, and this is your level of arousal. How interested in this are you? Uh-oh, my kids are getting some of the weapons out here. So, Noelle, can you back up a little bit? Because I gotta have this so you can see it. So the first thing is, your low level of arousal is sleep and boredom right down here. Where do you actually want to work? Where should you spend your time? It should be in this interest and excitement area. I'm interested in this process. Now I'm excited about what we're doing. And back and forth here. But where does real growth happen? Real growth happens when we even go into the stress zone. You have to stress your body. You have to stress your mind a little bit to improve overall performance. The key thing that you have to watch, though, is you don't overstress. So you stress in growth, back to excitement, back to interest, fading in these areas right here. If you stress yourself too much, you can lead to anxiety and ultimately panic and choking and negative outcomes. This is where people have anxiety attacks, mental breakdowns, all of this. And trust me, from my own personal experience, and I'm sure most of you have been out there and can say this as well, we've all been on various levels throughout this curve. This is where you want to be. All right? Be at the top of the curve when you can, otherwise fading through different regions, avoiding this area as much as possible. Okay, this is a great graph. Again, I can't stress enough how good this is. I use this for teaching people physical activity, optimal learning performance, for coaching CEOs and professional level athletes. Just a great thing for you to understand as you're looking at the way to improve your abilities and performance over time. All right. That basically concludes this presentation. We've got some other resources for institutions or for instructors. If you're a student, we've got a bunch as well. You can also go here as our summary slide and see what we've got. So key thing for the summary is, try not to get too distracted with the cuteness in the corner, but number 1, the 5-5-5 rule. No more than 5 lines of text, no more than 5 words per line, and no more than 5 text-heavy slides in a row. Got to move your beautiful hair over just a bit. Yeah. Use color and contrast to improve performance. Get in the zone. If you're not in the right zone, you're not going to be able to deliver or learn information correctly, so you've got to get in the zone. The next thing you want to do is engage your audience. Noelle, can you stop that for 1 second? You want to engage your audience. Okay? You want to make sure that their attention span is being met with changes of state, and you want to move around. Get up and move. Across the board. Time Magazine, there are literally hundreds of articles that show increased learning with movement occurring, all right? And the last thing I'd finish off with is get outside. It improves your learning and ability, and plant a tree. This is Noelle when she was a baby right here. We planted 40 trees in our orchard, and an excavator makes it more fun, but you got to get out and move things around too. So get out there and move. All right, these are the references for this presentation, and as always, every presentation should end with, are there any questions? I have learned more from the way students ask questions than I have in the presentations and research that I've done. The way that people ask questions gives you that one-on-one interaction, and it helps you learn and it helps them learn. What do kids do really well? Kids ask a lot of questions, and it makes you think about ways to answer or even your own ideas. And you can change your own ideas as new research and information presents itself. Fantastic way to learn. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you found this enjoyable. This was about productivity and productivity and presentations. If you'd like, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook, or find us at prohealthsys.com. My daughter's going to fall. I got to catch her. And boom! That will conclude today's adventure. All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
On weekdays, we have yoga or a workout.
Oh yeah, on weekdays we do yoga and a workout that we often do live, so people can come and enjoy us 4 o'clock, but it varies a little bit. All right, we'll leave you to it. Thank you, girls. That was very helpful.
Today is going to be a workout.
Today's going to be a workout. That's right.
Nora, today for workout or yoga, whatever it is, it's a workout. Okay, if it's a workout, for the workout, I'm going to press the live button.